Please be advised, the Kind of Movie Critics podcast may contain spoilers. This includes most of the movies you're gonna want to see. This shit also contains profanity, so there's that. Enjoy.
Hey, yo, it's Treezy.
Yo, it's Kory. It's Martin the Mailman.
It's Jesse T.
And I'm Young Leezy.
And we are the Kind of Movie Critics, man, here for episode 17 about young Okja.
Oh, we're 17 episodes in?
17 episodes
Oh, wow.
in.
That's fun.
We're almost legal.
Almost legal.
Not quite yet, though.
Not quite.
We still fly shorty PYT. Check for ID.
That's funny. Yo, man, that damn, did you peep that Curb Your Enthusiasm? Oh, you don't like Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
Yeah, I never watched the episode.
Get
What?
the fuck out of here,
Nah.
man.
I mean, I never had HBO, so I mean, back when Curb Your Enthusiasm is like streaming and like Napster and all that, like
Yeah, on
video
demand,
stuff.
though.
It wasn't pre-Napster.
I mean, not pre, but it was pre the culture of like pirating stuff, and I was a kid, so I couldn't like have access to
I've
it.
never watched. I don't think I've watched any
What?
episodes of it.
Yeah,
no.
but see, the thing about Martin and why you're bullshit right now is because aren't you like a huge Game of Thrones fan that's on HBO too?
Well, I mean, I watch it off somebody else's account.
Yeah, well, you know,
Well, Curb Your
it's
Enthusiasm
still
up there,
available.
too.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, the little teaser trailer for season 9 came out today.
How long was the hiatus? Like years, right?
Season 8 was like 2011, 2012.
And it was like a
that.
hiatus before that, too, right?
I mean, I think just a typical in between season hiatus.
I feel like they went a long time and made one, and now they've gone like an even longer time. I'm not mad though. I'm here for Larry David. That's a great show.
So I have a question, because I know Larry David did both Seinfeld and Curb. Like, which one do you think is better?
I like Curb better.
I'm not interested in watching Seinfeld ever. I've never watched an episode of Seinfeld, but I really like Curb.
Yeah, I like Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's
Seinfeld
like
was
my
cool.
favorite sitcom.
Seinfeld's though, it's the same type of humor, but it's a different setting, and that setting makes a huge difference. Like, I'm not a big fan of like.
They're both in New York, though, right?
No.
No,
Curb's
Curb
in
is
LA.
in LA. Now, the last season 8, was in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's set in LA. It's like Larry David's life after Seinfeld, basically.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I like it just because it's the different setting. I'm not huge on like sitcoms. I mean, I watch them. I have watched them or whatever. But I like when shows are out of the sitcom sort of like sets and shit like that and into the real world. You know what I mean? But it's the same type of humor though.
Isn't it like mostly improv though? It's not like they have like a loose script, but it's mostly improv.
Yeah. Apparently, he comes on the scene with like an outline, like the same shit we do our episodes with. But they do like a whole TV show based off it, and I think it's like, all right, this is the basis of this conversation, and the conversation has to end on this, and everything in between. We have to hit this, we have to hit this, we have to hit that, and end on this, and then they just kind of put it together. So
I really enjoy the way that he handles like difficult topics. He'll talk about like social issues and race, but it's like in the most delicate but hilariously funny way ever, and it's never offensive.
It's never offensive. Well, he just does this really cool thing where he always makes himself the asshole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think when you position yourself like that, you can get away with a lot more when you make yourself look like the dumbass. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Larry David just always looks like the dumbass in every situation. But I think I feel like without Curb Your Enthusiasm, you don't get Louis. And I feel like without Louis, we don't get Atlanta.
Huh.
Wait,
that's fair. That's fair as hell.
Yeah.
So is JB like good on the show? Because I never really see anything with JB Smooth.
JB
And then,
Smooth?
Like, he's
Yeah,
like
he's
amazing.
funny.
Oh, he's really funny on the show.
That's the only thing I'll watch him in. Like
Yeah.
anything else I see JB in is not really funny to me.
Yeah.
But he's his character. It's his character that's like completely outlandish, but it fits. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Tony Duberstein.
yeah. that and when the Joe Peppertone jersey. That's my shit.
You want me to go get your motherfucking jersey? Get your jersey.
Nigga, that's Joe Peppertone, nigga. Yeah.
So if I were to binge it, like is it like good for the first 3 seasons and it falls off, or is it good?
No,
like, all
it's
the way
good.
every
They
single
added
season.
black people. Well, there were always black people, but they added JB Smoove and Vivica Fox like later.
Yeah, like season 4, season 5. I think they came.
They were Katrina refugees.
Right. That's where they came in. They came in from Katrina.
Okay, yeah.
And Larry David took them in.
My favorite is Jeff's wife, though. Like, Jeff's wife cussing him out is my favorite part of every episode.
She's fucking annoying.
I love her.
Yeah,
You
I fuck with
bald fuck.
And then when Wanda Sykes when she makes her appearances. She
Oh
always,
my God.
Yeah.
So my favorite joke on that show ever is Mekhi Phifer's like his new accountant or some such thing. And he goes
Right.
and sees him and he's fucking staring at him and shit. And he has on a bow tie and he comes out and he meets one and he's like, Wanda, I got a question there. She was like, what do you want? And he was like, if I see a black man wearing a bow tie, is it safe to assume he's in the Nation of Islam?
Right.
And she's like, I'm not the fucking spokesperson for black people.
Right.
But you know, the thing that made it funny is that's exactly what the fuck I think when I see a black guy in a bow tie. I'm
Real
like, oh, he's
talk.
in the Nation.
Real talk. Yeah, I forgot Mekhi Phifer played. He was on that. Wasn't he like a lawyer? And
He was a lawyer or business manager or something like that.
It was like a very serious role.
But I like that he went for the joke because the joke's funny, right? Without being offensive because black people think the same thing.
Right.
And I love how she responded because that's exactly how I want to respond to those kind of questions in real life. It was great.
Yeah. We might need to do an episode when season 9 comes out, man.
Let's do
October 1st. And I don't know, did y'all get around to seeing the Defiant ones while we're talking about HBO?
I watched a good portion of the first episode. I'm feeling it, man.
Yeah. Honestly, man, this might be the most compelling music documentary I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And is it just going to be on Dr. Dre and the other guy, or is it going to
Jimmy
branch
Iovine.
out? Because it seemed like it was going to branch out to talk about more people.
No, I mean, well, it's just about Jimmy Iovine and
Okay.
Dr. Dre's friendship. It's a 4-part series, though.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I think they're all streaming on HBO now.
They are. So have they all been released or are they just streaming? Because I'm watching them on HBO. Well, I haven't watched them all. I got maybe 30 minutes into it and then I got distracted.
I mean, on HBO, I watched all 4 of them I watched 3 of them last night and number 4 this morning. So I don't know their release strategy, but if you're streaming it, they're all 4 of them are up there.
Yeah, I saw. I gotta finish that.
Yeah, that was a very compelling documentary, man. Like, shout out to the Hughes brother, well, Alan Hughes, I guess, because he's the only one that worked on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see Albert.
Yeah, it was really good though. Anything else capture you guys' attention this week?
Insecure's coming back.
Oh yeah,
Ready for that right now.
I
All
told
the
the
black girl magic.
Told the group Daniel Craig is looking like he's going to sign on for the 5th James Bond. Very
Right.
happy. I like Daniel Craig. I like James Bond.
yeah, me
So-
too. I was looking forward to Idris Elba though. And them
Idris Elba
rumors.
would have been cool.
Yeah,
I mean, but there's still hope for
It could
Idris
still
Elba.
happen.
Like if
He's not dead.
eventually,
Yeah, that's true.
Daniel Craig will step down. It's not like I mean, when he steps down, that'll be news as well.
Right.
So it's like a tenure.
Who would you want to take his place?
I have no idea.
Idris Elba.
Idris.
I mean, Idris Elba would be
I'd
cool.
take Idris if I couldn't get Idris. I definitely want a black James Bond, but if I couldn't get Idris, I would take Chewie, a G4. I'd take him.
I can't see that one.
No,
You can't see it?
No,
I can't see that one.
hell no.
He's smooth as shit. I can see it.
He's
but
smooth,
just
but-
my luck, they fucking probably give it to like David Oyelowo or some such nonsense.
No, give it to Chadwick Boseman.
I
mean, no
oh my
shade.
god, or they give it to Bokeem Woodbine. I'm shooting up a fucking theater.
I just want
man.
I want people to believe in me like people believe in Bokeem Woodbine, man.
I went to see Spider-Man and I was like Spider-Man, and then I was like, that's motherfucking Bokeem Woodbine.
Did it ruin the movie
I
for
didn't
you?
think he was that. I think he did all right.
He was.
I mean, he was
I mean,
basically Bokeem Woodbine, but he was all right.
I mean,
in the role.
Spider-Man was kind of because it was like very, very teen movie, which I wasn't super mad at because Spider-Man's a teenager, but I thought it was cool that they put Donald Glover in it because everyone was wanting him to play Miles Morales. We're never getting fucking Miles Morales.
He
movie,
actually plays his uncle though, so we might get it.
he plays his uncle.
Yeah.
And what?
Because he makes a reference to like my nephew being in this neighborhood, and his nephew is Miles Morales. Like he's the like I guess he's
Is
like
that the uncle's
prowler.
name?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I'm learning. I would love to see
Nice.
it. I wonder who they would pick though. Like
I think they're doing an animated version of it. They're not gonna do like a live action.
No, that's bullshit. They
Miles
should put it on
Morales.
Netflix.
Yeah, they should.
Marvel could do that.
I think a lot of people in it though, like the animated one. Like
Oh.
I think Mahershala Ali's in it or something like that.
Oh well, sign me up.
Yeah,
Oh, he could do a Bond. I think he could.
No, he can't. He's not British.
he's not a British. Yet.
Oh yeah, he's not British. Yeah. Well, fuck it. They come over here and do our roles.
Shit,
Like,
don't get me started.
But I mean, wasn't Sean Connery Scottish?
Yeah, but that's still in the
Yeah,
UK.
but that's still the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do kind of need to be British, but maybe you don't. I don't
Yes,
know.
you do. They
Yeah,
like
I think
British people
that's-
are not with the shits.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna. I think you'll get a black James Bond
But he-
soon, but you ain't gonna get a non-British James Bond. I
Yeah,
don't think
somebody
that's
was
gonna
like
happen.
Jamie Foxx should be James Bond. I was like,
No.
fuck out
Fuck out of here. If I ever see that, dog, that'll be the end of it for me.
Treezy gonna shoot up a theater.
Right.
Straight up, no bullshit.
He's like, paintballs, people. We
Well, I
need
think
paintballs.
with this tenure too, that franchise they take a lot of control and responsibility
And
with
pride,
that
yeah.
and pride in it. So I think they're this franchise has turned into something they're really gonna I think make a really conscious decision of who's the best person for it. So.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I don't think there's been a bad Bond yet. You know what I
Timothy
mean?
Dalton?
Fuck out of here. I like Tim Dalton. Not a
Yeah,
fan.
he-
Pierce Brosnan.
He wasn't bad. He just wasn't my favorite.
Yeah,
But
and
he
then what's
wasn't bad.
Roger Moore?
Roger Moore's
Rest in
Roger
peace.
Moore's alright.
Roger Moore's the one.
I wasn't
I
a big
like
Roger
Roger
Moore
Moore.
fan.
Yo,
He
shout
was
out
kinda
to
funny.
I think his name is New World.
Now World.
Now World on SoundCloud. I think he's been engaging in a lot of our episodes, and I think he said something like Roger Moore was his favorite too. Was it him that said that?
I don't know. I don't think did we talk about James Bond? I don't know. I gotta look.
we
Sorry, that's the homie. Sorry.
Yeah, but hold on. I want to get. I want to look this up because I want to get there. Because I want to. You know what? I want to really reward people that actually, that they actually converse with us on our social media, especially after I went on with that rant about how people don't. Yeah, Now World. Shout out to you, and also Seven Sharks. That's who it was. Now World and Seven Sharks. Shout out to y'all on SoundCloud for engaging in conversation on our episode. So, all right, man. Well, let's get into old Okja, the manatee pig.
Manatee Super Pig.
Yeah, manatee super pig, man. So apparently this is one of the 20 plus releases that are original movies from Netflix that's going to be releasing in 2017. So I saw a couple of other ones that were out there.
They just been cranking them out. I look and everything has Netflix original stamped on it.
I started to watch War Machine. It was pretty funny, but it lost me about halfway through. Well, I fell asleep halfway through. I should say that, but that ain't really hard considering.
Yeah, story of my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, I fell asleep on it. I'm like, that's no bearing on the quality of the movie at all. I'm just a sleepy bitch.
Right. But I didn't go back to it, and that's what was kind of an indication that I wasn't really interested.
Right.
Usually I'll go back to it, but all right. So Kory with the synopsis. Let's go ahead and get it in.
Meet Mia, a young girl who risks everything.
Wait.
I said that, yeah. Meet Mija, a young girl who risked everything to prevent a powerful multinational company from kidnapping her best friend, a fascinating animal named Okja.
Great. Sounds compelling, especially when you read it, Kory. It sounds very compelling.
Yeah.
You need to watch In a World. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's with what's her name? Something.
Oh, Lake
Lane?
Bell, right?
Lake
I
Bell,
really
Lake
want to
Bell,
watch
yeah.
that movie, but I have no clue where to watch it at.
It was on Netflix for
Oh,
a
it was on
long
Netflix.
time.
It was on
yeah.
Netflix. It was on Tubi. Like,
Yeah.
it's. I think it's on Tubi now, so that's
okay.
free. You can watch it.
Yeah. So no, I joked before, but exactly what was Okja? It
A
was.
super pig.
Was it mixed with something? Did I miss that
So
part?
here's the thing, right? We know that the movie's not really about a pig. The movie's about like social issues or whatever, which is why we're here because it's what we do.
Right.
But supposedly she was a super pig. The story that they sold was that she was found in like the mountains of Chile. Well, not Okja, but her ancestor. Her parent was found. Her mother was found in the mountains of Chile, and they brought her back to a farm and like non-forcibly mated her. And here's my trouble with that. Like, I think that they threw that stupid ass story in there just as like to see how gullible people are. I want to know how you can mate one animal.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They found one pig and then they had 26.
Well, I kind of took it as that was the way they softened up the idea of this animal, right? Like it has to have an origin story, right?
I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying is they obviously like she's GMO, right?
Yeah,
so
clearly.
so it's kind of like, but they said like we discovered her in the mountains of Chile. Well, you can't mate one animal no matter how hard you try. Like she's GMO, but they invented an animal. So yeah, it's like they crossbred a bunch of shit to come up with a super pig.
Right.
so they could have like this amazing food source. But the fact that people went for it and they were like, oh, it's from Chile. And I'm like, no, it's a one female pig. You can't make 26 from one. You have to have two.
Right. Well, isn't it, but isn't that kind of like, can't that happen with us? You know what I'm saying? Can't did you take it? I took it like this is the exact way that they could roll out some shit and we would believe it. I'll tell you exactly what I'm saying. I never heard of this breed of fish until maybe like 2 years ago. It's something called starts with an S.
Well, I've heard
sway.
Oh, I don't know what that is. But
Yeah.
I've heard people say the same thing about tilapia. They're like, tilapia is just a genetically modified organism. They didn't exist until 10 years ago. And I'm like, no, tilapia is cichlids.
Right.
They just call it something else.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a type of fish. I think it's pronounced sway. I'd never heard of it until like 2 years ago.
It probably is just another species of fish that they gave a different name. I'll give you an example. Like, people eat pigeons, but they fucking call it squab. It's a fucking pigeon.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. And you're right, though, because they make it sound fancier. It's marketing. But I'm just kind of like, well, everyone bought that? I think that was meant to show, like, that people are gullible. And she made a comment. She was like, if it's cheap, people will eat it.
Right.
And it's kind of like, well, it doesn't matter. People want it because it's accessible. And so they're not going to care that it's wholly, manufactured in a lab.
Right. And when you say she, you're talking about Tilda Swinton's character.
Yeah, Lucy Miranda.
Yeah, Lucy Miranda.
Actually, no, her sister Nancy was the one who said that, but
right.
her twin sister said it. But yeah,
right.
which I thought was also interesting.
Yeah, well, see, that's where I thought like the whole messaging, what made it socially a thing is just I just kind of feel like that's what they do with us. They just kind of feed us anything. Like, oh no, this is 100% organic and this and that, and we're forced to believe it because.
Does the FDA even really have standards on what you can stamp organic? Because I read somewhere that they don't. Like, they don't really like regulate that.
Yeah, I heard something crazy. Like if it's a certain percentage, like if it's like 40% organic, whatever the fuck that means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the rest?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That it kind of gets stamped a certain way.
But that was a big thing. Them trying to get legislation passed to like take the branding and stuff off of meat, as far as just like what's in it, where it's come from, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I feel like those kind of themes kind of come into play with this a little bit as
Right.
well. Like, we don't know where this stuff is coming from. I mean, I've seen videos on Facebook of like big cows that are like all super and muscular and stuff like that, and that's probably what we're eating now.
Oh, hell yes, what you're eating. That's
Mhm.
why they now will, and I would rather it tell me no antibiotics, which that's not necessarily a bad thing. You gotta keep the fucking animal alive. You don't want it to have diseases, but
Right.
they'll say like no growth hormones, that kind of stuff, and like in milk that the cows are not fed hormones to make them make milk. Like, I'd rather them just say that than tell me it's organic, like, because that doesn't really mean shit to me. I want to know what you didn't put in this shit.
Yeah. So I mean, is that the messaging that we got from this film? That it's I mean, because it's dual layered. Obviously, it's about this relationship with Mija and Okja. You've got that element of like, you're taking my best friend.
Yeah, she didn't have any family other than her grandfather and Okja, so like that was her life.
Right. So you got that. Then we've got the whole element of like this animal being taken to fulfill a quota of processing for food consumption. So it seemed like they did a really good balance in between making this human quality and making us be attached to this specific animal for whatever reason.
Well, I think that it's layered. Obviously, I think that because I'm me, but I think there was messaging there about capitalism and about protest and what people's motives for protest are, and also about like they almost were humanizing, like you said, the animal to make you think, well, like you eat these animals, but they have they're sentient beings and they have a life and thoughts and memories and all those good things too. So I think all of that was there. I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to take away from Okja being a sentient being, but I guess it's supposed to tug at your heartstrings. Like,
yeah, because I'll be honest, I didn't look at this and think I wanted to go vegan after this. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I didn't.
So I don't know if that was like a like an agenda, but it didn't really work.
I ain't gonna lie. I had like a lazy moment this morning because you know how you said you watched the Kendall Jenner commercial. He was like, "I'm gonna still drink this Pepsi though." And I watched Okja last night, and I had like that sausage egg and cheese.
Sausage egg and cheese, man.
Same here. I was cooking a pot roast while I was watching the film.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, Jesse said he was cooking a pot roast while he was watching the film.
I was. It was good too. But I understood a little bit more that perspective now, and I feel like I get it. You know,
I don't.
I understand it,
I
but
had
I
this-
mean, I don't.
Well, when you say you
practice
understand
it.
this perspective, what do you mean?
Well, the perspective is just people who don't eat pork for the fact that it's a living animal,
Right.
You know, or just any animal and stuff like that. Like I feel like in our society, people are becoming more conscious of that type of stuff. You're seeing more veganism and vegetarians and stuff like that, and it's cool. But I like pork.
So I have okay.
But where they fucked up at too is that they let her raise the pig for 10 years. I think if I had a pig for 10 years, I don't think I'd want you to eat it either.
I think that I think that all of that is stupid, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you why. And I think it's meant to be like a juxtaposition there, because this is weird fun fact about me. I don't believe in pets, and I don't. Not only do I not believe in pets, I think that if you have an animal and it has a utility, that's completely different. Like if you have a dog to protect your home, that's one thing. But if you have the dog and you're like, and I'm sorry because I know I'm gonna get flack for this, you're like, oh, it's my baby, and I'm like, it's not your baby. You bought this animal and you are requiring it to fucking love you, and it has no duty to love you back. So in this movie, I think it's very interesting that Okja is literally a manufactured being, which they deliver it to her, but people do that. They develop these relationships and none of that shit is real. It's all manufactured. The animal's fucking dependent on you. So I thought that was interesting too. I'm sure that's not the messaging, but that's really like my belief system. I'm like, okay, don't get me wrong. It's not me having like tugging at my heartstrings like, oh, you shouldn't have pets. And I'm like, yeah, all of that shit's not real. I don't get it.
Well, I thought it was more interesting just from a cultural perspective. It's like Mija and Oja's relationship. Like it seemed like, I mean, that's really all they had. Like, who else were her friends, really? You know, she's living on a mountaintop by herself. And then seeing that kind of lifestyle with the American consumerism lifestyle and seeing us how, like, just the real negative sides, I think, of our society and capitalism and stuff like that. I think that was really interesting. Like, I feel like I could, you're seeing it through, like, the director's eyes, and it's not an American first perspective. And I think that's something that we haven't really seen
Well,
before.
see, I think the irony of that too is that like the animals that we choose to befriend in this country are like food on the other side of the world. So I think it's really interesting that they chose a pig, because a pig over here is food, and then like she decided to befriend it. So it's like to make you think like, oh, well, that's food. Well, no, it's a pet. No, it's food. And we kind of do the same thing. We have like this hierarchy of loving animals and their importance and stuff like that. So I don't know if any of that was intentional, but you know, this is just how I watch movies.
Yeah. I mean, part of me, if I had to put a percentage to it, I feel like 30% of the movie was actually trying to shove a message down our throat, and the other 70% was just story building. Like I feel like even though it had a message, I feel like the message was kind of like the background to just this story of this friendship, like on some Charlotte Webb type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what because again, like nothing about it. I mean, the fact that it was this super created animal that just took it away from personalization, period. Like I didn't look at it and feel like, oh shit, I'm eating a pig. Like it doesn't look like a pig, so it doesn't look like anything that I know I eat.
It looks like a hippo and an elephant and a pig at the same time.
Yeah. So it's like, so in doing that, it kind of reduced the whole like social element to me, because it's obviously fictional, like when you kind of set it up in that manner. And so that's why I give it like, I feel like 30% of it was really to, bring to like social issues.
I feel like the messages there were like, I don't know that they necessarily shoved it down our throat, but I think that they were very front and center. And I think like specific characters representing specific things and specific interests was like, none of that was really coded. So I agree with you. No, it wasn't shoving it down your throat, but I don't think that it was meant to be like the backdrop either. I think you were definitely supposed to digest that.
Yeah. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah. No. I definitely, I get what you're
See
saying.
what I did there?
I definitely get what you're saying. Like, and I'm not saying that the message isn't prominent. It's just like, I almost feel like like when they were creating the story, it started with, how do we create this story about a friendship of a girl and an animal, and then they built on that, as opposed to like, how do we get this story across about, GMOs and, toxic food, and the process that goes with it, and then they went backwards to build it to this story. That you understand what I'm saying?
I'm very curious about that. Like, I'd want to sit down with the director and pick his brain anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the director, so let's jump into that. Joon-ho Bong, which this becomes your field, Martin. And
Martin knows all about the Asian people who make movies.
I think it's Bong Joon-ho, but I guess you probably could say Joon-ho Bong.
Well, IMDb credits him both ways. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, whichever way is proper, though, because I know you're like very versed with like Asian culture, so I don't want to go wrong there. But so he did Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Which to me is a far like it's just a far better social commentary to me, in terms of something that because it's really personal. I was able to take that story personal.
Well, see, Snowpiercer I don't think it's a better social commentary. I just think it's talking about something different. Snowpiercer is more about classism and like a physical representation of what revolution looks like, as opposed to this just being more about capitalism and corporations and social interests, social justice warriors or whatever you want to call them.
Right. Well, see, the thing is, and I feel like I'm hogging up this episode, so I'm gonna let somebody else talk. But the thing is that like, I feel like in this story, the only reason that the shit was bad was because Okja and her were friends. Like, I feel like when I watch Snowpiercer, I'm mad at the class system, where it's like, I'm not really mad at the food processing system.
I think you have, but okay, so I think in terms of like what's important to you, that maybe is why.
To
you, Treezy, as a person,
it could be, but it could be. It very well could be, but I mean, food is. I mean, it doesn't get no much more personal than food.
I don't think it gets much more personal than food, but I think like some people put emphasis on that and some people don't. I'm not one of those people. I just sat here and told you about like how lame it is. I think it is to have a pet, but like, I eat a pig's ass if you cook it right. Like I'm not that person. So like, I just think about it like this. There's just so much that I don't know, and I haven't died yet. And life kills you one breath at a time. So I don't really care about it from that aspect. But in terms of it giving you a peek behind the curtain, I thought it was really important in that way. But it didn't tug at my heartstrings because I didn't care. I thought it was brilliantly executed in terms of the messaging. Right. But Snowpiercer, I think the messaging is closer to home for you, and maybe that's what it is.
No, you know what? And I just thought about it. No, and this is why This is why I will refute that. Is because I watched like Forks Over Knives or Food Inc. and I get mad about the food system when I watch that. Like I get mad at the manipulation that goes on, because it's like they put it in a way more. They kind of like twist the story. I'm not going to say twisted, but they frame it to where it's like, yo, people are really trying to affect you personally. They kind of frame it that way, and it makes me mad, and it makes me think about the things that I'm eating. Whereas like this didn't do that. So no, I am capable of, I do care about, food when it's framed properly, but this just didn't do it.
I'm not going to watch you cut off a pig's head and I'm going to eat bacon. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But yeah, I don't want you to kill somebody's pet pig. Because even though I think all that's bullshit, like, I care that they are hurt behind it, I guess. So Mija can have Okja back. That's fine.
Right.
I wanted to see Okja go home, but, and the rest of them motherfuckers gonna die. We're gonna have amazing pork chops. Like, they don't know they don't know anything else. They don't know any other life. Like, you understand what I'm saying? I guess, like, that kind of sucks. Like, if you frame that about, like, people... But they don't know anything else. Their existence is shitty from beginning to end, whereas Okja had something else to live for.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, they're sentient though, so
they are sentient. Yeah, but I mean, it's serving a purpose. A bitch gotta eat a sandwich at some point.
Damn. Yo, you sound like hella like.
Yo, if I get a dog, keep her away from you.
Well, I'm not gonna eat your dog.
Barbecue my dog.
I'm definitely not gonna eat your dog. I'm not gonna eat your dog unless like it's if ain't shit else to eat. Like your dog is a fucking sandwich.
Are we talking about the apocalypse or you're hungry?
No.
Like you didn't eat lunch today.
No, we're definitely talking about the apocalypse. Like I'm not gonna eat your dog because it's your fucking pet. But like in terms of me giving a fuck about your dog's life, like I don't. Sorry.
You're good.
Damn.
Well,
That's some cold shit.
When it comes to between this and Snowpiercer, Kory?
Oh, Snowpiercer is a way better film. Just a better constructed film. Better. I mean, it's about a system and a train. Like the whole movie just plays out better than this. I didn't really like this movie that much. This movie kind of was lame to me.
Lame though.
Yeah, there's a lot
Kory
of
doesn't
parts.
give a fuck either.
Yeah, I don't get. No, I mean, there's a lot of parts of this movie that didn't make any sense to me. There's a lot of parts that were just kind of pointless.
Do tell me what didn't make sense.
Why that little girl was faster than a semi when she was running down them stairs?
Right. She was an American gladiator.
She was an American gladiator chasing after the semi.
To be fair, she don't do shit but run through the fucking mountains all
True
day.
that.
Like she does hella cardio with
this girl.
I thought about that too. I'm like, she should be pretty
the
fit.
fucking high altitude. Like she come here and whoop your ass, Kory.
This girl broke the glass on the door.
Again, she jumps off the mountain.
What else did this superhuman do in this film? Like, what's his face? He got beat up in the truck, and I didn't really understand that.
What's his face? What do you?
The dude
Steven
from
Yeun?
Steven Yeun.
Yeah.
He got beat up.
I actually think he's better in here than he is in like most of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, Walking Dead sucks.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
shout
shit,
outs
you
to
just
anybody.
stepped in
Yeah. The Walking Dead sucks. It's a shitty TV show,
Damn.
but we keep watching it.
Yeah.
And you know you shouldn't be watching it. You should. There's just a lot of this. I told them earlier that this movie played out like a live action Disney movie. It had your eccentric villains, your eccentric sidekick, your creature that's like a thing. Like it's not, but it's familiar, but it's not a real thing. You've got a child. Obviously, most Disney movies have a child.
Whose parents are dead.
Whose parents have died. I mean, the
Yeah.
movie was I just thought it was okay. It didn't move me. The special effects aren't that good.
Yeah, special effects.
The movie just did nothing for me. So
Damn. Well, you didn't. So I mean,
that
but
missed a point. I named a few earlier, but
yeah, no. Well, all right. So I feel you on the live action Disney film,
yeah.
but is that a bad thing though?
I mean, it's not really a bad thing per se, but like the movie, with the random cursing and the Super Pig Holocaust at the end,
Right.
like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like it feels like we're gonna tell this really serious thing, but we're gonna sprinkle in some Disney-esque moments in it so you don't, cry. And then the characters, like you're right, like the dude who's the boss of the I don't even know their names.
Paul Dano.
Paul
Dano.
Dano. Yeah, Paul Dano. Like I thought his character was gonna be a bad guy.
Yeah, that whole scene where he beat.
Yeah, I'm saying when he beat him up, it didn't make any sense.
It was weird.
And then Jake Gyllenhaal, you said it, overacted like a motherfucker.
I enjoyed Jake Gyllenhaal. He took it back to Bubble Boy.
He don't even get closure on his character. He just falls into the crowd. Tilda Swinton plays herself. You know what I mean?
She plays her creepy self and then her bitchy self.
She plays two versions of her creepy self. Like, why is Gus in the movie? Gus didn't need to be in this movie.
Or Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, like
he has a name.
I know. I'm probably gonna get shit about that too.
Oh, I was like, who the fuck is Gus? I know who Giancarlo Esposito is.
Oh well, he plays Gus in Breaking Bad.
I don't watch.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's pretty much probably like the defining character of his career outside of like when in bugging out, yeah,
Bugging Out, Julian. I remember him from Spike Lee movies.
Yeah, but now I'll say Bugging Out and Gus are like
he was
the
fucking
two.
Esteban, B.
Yeah, nah, man, Gus I think has overshadowed that. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I mean,
it's kind of a coach role.
I guess it's a vantage point thing.
Icon thing. That too. But I made a joke that like this is kind of showing where he gets his chickens for Los Pollos Hermanos.
And he's the narrator in Dear White People.
Yeah, of course.
And even going back to that, like that little girl, like it played like a Disney movie where like she got into secret access. How'd they get into that farm at the end?
Yeah, I don't
they
know.
drove to it. They
just
drove
drove
to
up
the
to it
Super Pig
with no
secret
problem.
killing facility.
Yeah,
I
that was
don't
weird.
think it's that hard to get into a slaughterhouse though.
But it's a Super Pig slaughterhouse, not a regular slaughterhouse. The Super Pig slaughterhouse that the community doesn't know about.
I mean, Peter gets into them shits all the time.
I'm just saying, this little girl got into this shit,
Yeah.
and I mean, the movie it was absurd. The movie was absurd. She's on top of a semi.
Yeah, that was
It's a
weird.
movie, cause it's a fantasy movie. With a big,
It's a
fake-ass
fantasy.
pig.
It's a fantasy movie, and the fantasy wasn't there for me.
Well, see, to me, that's kind of what I'm saying is like where maybe I don't think they missed the mark on the messaging, but I think when you start mixing it in with all these fantasy elements, it kind of just forces you to not think about the issue as seriously
It's silly.
because it is silly. But I mean, it had to been. I guess it was a device built that way for a specific reason. What's your take on it, though, Jesse? I'm interested.
It seems like they're trying to build like almost like a broader audience for this type of film because it does have more stuff that you see in a traditional adult film, but it's also like a kids film at the same time. Like to me, like I think about like you both have daughters and stuff. Like what age do you think is the right age to see a film like this?
My daughter could watch this.
Yeah.
Mine, she
Your-
wouldn't understand
your
it right
kids
now.
would. But I
But
think
I
a
feel
lot
like-
of the messaging would go over my daughter's head, but she would be invested in the little girl's
Mhm.
story more so than the
And-
political messages.
And do you think it
Right.
would be something she would watch over and over and probably eventually get? Like one of those type.
Maybe
'Cause-
she doesn't understand how Harry Potter's about like racism and genocide.
But you watch the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, but she watches it for the the fantasy elements of it, and over time, she's really into Planet of the Apes. I don't think that she gets
Oh,
that
yeah.
that's about racism, but like
Does she watch the old ones?
no,
Okay.
but like we went to see Spider-Man, and when Planet of the Apes came on, she was like, "Oh my god, Planet of the Apes, yes!" And I was like, "She know this shit is about black people." So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
But I think that's interesting. I feel like a kid would get that experience from that. And I feel like that's what I remember from a lot of the films that I watched as a kid. Like a lot of the Disney films and stuff like that. As you get older, you watch them and you start to pick up on more stuff. So
And the scene after the credits was stupid. You
It
were here when I
really
was watching
was.
it. It was stupid.
Oh, I didn't
really
even pay attention to that. Like,
Yeah,
There's a scene after the credits. It's stupid. You don't
What
need
is
to watch it.
Jay gets out of jail and he gets on the I guess the bus that's taking him out of the facility, and the guy that he beat up is in there.
That's the thing. He beat Steven Yoon. He beat him up, and then he saves the day at the end.
Yeah, he basically comes and he's like, "Hey, we added another member to the revolution," and it's like another Korean dude, and they're on this bus, and it actually I don't even get the purpose that it served, to be perfectly honest. Like,
the director knows.
yeah, like did you understand what that was about?
They were going towards an event that the CEO was doing. That's what they were saying. They said I have to replay, but that's what I vaguely remember.
I don't want to fucking see Okja 2 though. Like, keep that shit.
Yeah, nah.
I thought they were going to a slaughterhouse or something, but I wasn't really. I couldn't tell like what exactly was going on.
Well, they're on a public bus, and they alluded to they were going to. They were like, this is a big event. The CEO is going to be there.
Yeah.
So they were just going to something that the CEO is.
My
be
thing is, did that scene add any value to the film?
It added nothing
whatsoever.
Nothing. Zero.
I guess it's kind of like how futile like that type of thing can be, or like this
Right.
this warrior thing where it's like, okay, you guys are just gonna keep trying and keep going in jail, and people are still gonna eat this super pig. Like,
Right.
you're fighting a losing battle. You're fighting a lost cause.
But what does
they're
that
still
say
gonna
about,
keep
like,
fighting.
Yeah.
What does that say about protesting in general, though? Like, I think that that's very interesting.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
no, from the perspective of what you said, like, does it really change anything? Like, is it worth the effort? Are you really going to change people's minds? Are you really making an impact for the type of risk that you're taking and the type of danger that you've put people in? Like, is it as impactful as the risk you've taken?
Well, it's hard to say because we don't really know like what her sales were for the super pigs like after it went to market. So
Oh, that's a good point.
it's like we don't know if it made that a good impact or not.
Right.
But we know it hit the media. But it's like hard to tell.
Well,
She
like-
said it's gonna sell anyway, so
Yeah, she said that if it's cheap, people will eat it. But so they did PETA style. They showed like all these shocking images of how the super pigs were being treated in the slaughterhouse, and PETA does that. They stand out in front of the circus or whatever with their protest signs and all these things, and people are like, don't look at them and keep walking.
Right.
So I'm very curious about, like you said, is it futile? Is it really making an impact?
well the circus is gone now, right? Or it's
The Black Circus is still a thing. Universal is still
Oh,
a
yeah,
thing.
Black
but
Circus,
Ringling
yeah.
No,
Brothers,
Barnum and Bailey closed up.
Barnum and Bailey.
Yeah.
They closed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
is
missed that
their last
message.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is it because of the
Well,
PETA
I
type
don't-
thing?
I don't think
declining
so.
I
ticket
think some of
sales.
it might be though.
Oh, declining. ticket
We
sales,
may
maybe
not
from-
know, but declining ticket sales thing and pressure from groups probably contributed to a lot of that.
That's big.
Mhm.
That's very big, actually. My grandfather's gonna be. He's gonna be heartbroken because
You
that's
can
like his
still go to
favorite thing to do.
Universal. You can still go to the Soul
Yeah,
Circus.
yeah, he could, but I think like him going to Barnum and Bailey was like it was. I think it was something he did as a kid, and his one of his only memories of like his father. So I think it's like more of one of those things
Well,
for him.
I think like Soul Circus is.
It's dope. I like it.
No, I've been a couple times and it's so black and I love everything black. But but I think like with Barnum and Bailey being gone, that the Soul Circus will really like win off of that because they're really the only circus that still has animals. I don't think anybody else is still touring with animals because there's just them in like Cirque du Soleil.
Right.
Which who the fuck wants to watch people flip for 3 hours? I'm good.
Like a lot of people they sell out a lot.
Yeah, I'm
they
not
do
interested.
numbers. They do a lot of numbers.
I know, but I'm saying like that's their brand, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
the circus without animals, and then there's only one circus with animals.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Cirque du Soleil was cool for like the first 30 minutes to an hour, but after a while, you just like, yo, what am I watching right now?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think anything you watch it for like 3 hours, you're like, all right, bro. It's just kind of a weird thing. But so going back to the director though, so we cut, Snowpiercer. Did you say how you feel about Snowpiercer in comparison to this?
Oh, I didn't even talk about the movie yet. I like Snowpiercer better, and because that was like my favorite action movie of the year. It might have been in like my top 3 favorite movies of that year. But this is it's kind of like it's hard because it's a love-hate relationship. Like I love Netflix for letting me see this because I don't think this would have came to anywhere but the Narrow, and it would have went like or the Narrow. It would have went like several weeks afterwards. Um, but I don't like watching stuff on the small screen. And I know at cons or whatever, this got booed unanimously, like in the beginning and the end of the screening, because it's like people are like, no, this should be in theaters. Like this whole give your movies to Netflix is like messing up the game. It's not respecting cinema. And in a sense, I kind of like agree with that.
I think
'cause
this would have bombed in the theater though.
It would have bombed, but I would much rather. I probably would have had a much enjoyable experience in the theaters rather than watching it like on my TV.
That's fair, especially with some of the action sequences.
Well, I think people just kind of got to get used to the fact that like Netflix is here to stay. I mean, when you got Amazon Prime. Well, they did have a theatrical release.
Yeah,
but,
they have
Manchester.
theatrical releases, and then they bring them back 6 months later and put it on Prime. So
I think
I would think people would be bigger about that. Like it's about cinema, it's about making movies, about getting them out there to people.
Right.
Like I would think people would have a bigger stance.
Yeah, I think they got to respect that. Like people are getting legitimate jobs. They're getting work.
Yeah.
It's like people that probably wouldn't work are actually getting work. So when you start talking about these like theater projection purists, like what is your goal?
I mean, I agree if it's a thing. Like I think Beast of No Nation was made before, and then Netflix like bought it or something like that.
Yeah, I
In
want
a
to say
sense,
they're-
like
yeah.
I would rather it be like, okay, Netflix cuts a check for you to make a movie and it comes out on Netflix. Because I feel like as a director, you're gonna like think about, oh, this is gonna be seen on a TV screen rather than a big movie. And in a sense, it's like I would rather if you're making a movie, you beforehand you like put it in theaters first. Because you're making a movie for a theater, like you're not making it for people to watch on like their cell phones or their tablets or their TV screens. And I think it should be viewed in a movie theater first, at least.
It is a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some value in that. I mean, there's a lot of movies. You're right. Like I would rather. This is not one of them. But yeah, like when I want to see for me personally, I enjoy seeing summer blockbusters on big giant screens and loud stereo systems in the.
I
in the
guess it's
theater,
also
but-
like the distraction too. Like I'll be texting or checking Instagram or something in the middle of the movie, and it's like I never do that during a movie theater.
No,
Like
I
it
do.
has
forces
my
you to
attention.
focus. Yeah.
100%.
Like I watched this movie in
Yeah.
2 parts. I watched the first hour at home, and then I watched the first hour before we did the podcast. Like, I wasn't, but I wasn't into it. I've already explained. My
So do you think
biases.
that like hindered your enjoyment of the movie though by like?
No, I
breaking
just
it
didn't
up?
like this movie.
Oh yeah.
I really didn't think this movie was all that great. Like, I get why it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah,
Like-
I think it would have tanked in the box office.
Oh yeah, it probably would have taken, but
Yeah.
I still would have rather seen it in like a theater though.
Yeah.
Now, was this movie made to be distributed on Netflix, or was it made and then purchased by Netflix?
I don't know.
It seems like it was made and purchased to me.
If it was made and purchased, I get it. Probably other studios were like, Nah, I'm straight.
Yeah, because Snowpiercer bombed. So
Yeah,
But
like,
it, but
I'm
it
straight.
showed but it
Netflix,
showed that
Was Snowpiercer a theatrical release? Because I had
it
not heard
was
anything
very
about it.
limited.
I didn't hear about it until it
release.
came on Netflix.
yeah, I saw that the AMC 24 in Hampton. Shout out to your old job.
Yeah, that was my first job.
With your buttons and shit.
So, but no, I think it was made specifically via Netflix because it showed at Cannes with Netflix on the front and back, right? And Cannes is normally where you would go to try to sell it to a distributor, right?
Really? I
do not know.
thought they made it and then Netflix like cut the check for distribution, but I'm not like sure though.
Yeah,
Shout
me
out to our
neither.
listeners. If you know, please let us know what the
I-
actual truth is.
Like honestly, I don't think any filmmaker at like Bong Joon-ho's level is like I want to show my stuff in Netflix. I think every director at that level who's like an artist is like, I want people to see this on a big screen.
Right. But when Netflix come with that bag though, like
Yeah,
know,
you know you're not gonna get that check from it.
yeah.
Like, you might as well take it, I guess.
it makes more sense.
I feel like I feel like it probably is a thing for filmmakers to want to see their their product in a big theater, but I think it's also more of a thing that they actually continue to work and to get their their vision out.
Mhm.
So, I'm pretty sure, when you look at like Spike Lee or you look at people like who were some, even Will Smith, and Brad Pitt, these, Plan B, who was involved with this,
right.
when they're giving their property over to Netflix and giving their likeness to Netflix. I think it's at the end of the day, it comes down to like, I want to make art and I want to get paid for it, and if Netflix is willing to pay me generously for my art, I don't think it's a hard compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's guaranteed viewership. Like
guaranteed
at least
viewership.
when you go into the theater, there is still some risk with
Yeah.
some properties.
Right.
Like at least this, someone's gonna watch it.
And if something bombs in the theater, that can probably inhibit your funding going further.
Yeah.
Like you become a high risk venture. You know what I mean?
I mean, most of Edgar Wright's movies have bombed though, or they weren't that like commercially successful.
Right.
But I mean, he's white though, so
Yeah.
Well,
Shouts to being white.
Well,
This shit seems pretty lit.
but that would be I would be interested to know like how much shit does he have to go through? Does he have to get grants for his funding? Does he have to get like what kind of hoops he has to jump through to get his funding? As opposed to like Christopher Nolan.
Well, one thing I do like is that this is still like kind of a Korean movie, but there's like a lot of American actors in it, and British actors and whatnot. In a sense, it's like when you compare his career to Chan Woo Park, who did Old Boy, they both got their like American movie. Like Chan Woo Park's was Stoker, which I didn't really like that much, and I guess it wasn't that successful. He was like, well, I guess I have to go back to doing Korean movies. And of course, I love like Handmaiden. That was my favorite film that year. But I guess I like that Bong Joon-ho is still getting to work with like American actors and British actors and stuff. Is still getting stuff in like the American space.
Right.
But it's still very much a Korean
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Except for Snowpiercer didn't really feel like a Korean film.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the Korean guy I think is like the architect of the train.
Yeah,
Like that's
that's
a
it.
really Korean guy.
This
to
feels like
think
a
of.
Korean movie that has American actors in it.
Yeah.
I really like that they made the 13-year-old girl the protagonist. I do like that. That aspect of things, and that's what I do like about Bong Joon. Oh, I'm gonna say Joon-ho Bong. I don't know how you say it, but that's what I like about him too. Between this and between Mother, like the unconventional choice of protagonist.
Yeah, the host is like it's kind of like a dual protagonist between like the little girl who gets captured by the monster and her father who's trying to save her. So I really like how he deals with like putting young women especially in his films, and showing their agency and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, and they're Asian, which those opportunities are far and few between,
Right.
especially in an American facing film like this.
Mm-hmm.
They're like fighting for Asian American actors are struggling, so it's just normalizing it and making sure that those options are viewed as viable for people of color other than just Black people is important.
Have any of you guys seen Mother?
Yeah, I actually watched it last week. I didn't. Okay, so I so want to be this person that like Martin's like, this is good, go watch this, and I get excited about it, and I'm like, fuck, I have to read the entire time.
Yeah.
And that because they're not speaking in a language that I can watch movies in Spanish and in English all day. I'm good. But because they're not speaking a language that I understand, like a lot of the emotion is lost for me, even though I get the body language. But because they're speaking Korean, right?
Yeah, it's Korean.
Because the language is tonal anyway, I don't ever know what their emotion is like unless they're like crying or like fucking somebody up. So I'm like lost watching Mother a lot of the time. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to
Really?
be feeling.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all.
Well, that's just me because I'm
Yeah.
reading it and because they're speaking a tonal language, like I don't always understand what's happening
Right.
in terms of the emotion they're conveying. Obviously, I can read the words,
Right.
but it doesn't resonate with me in the same way. And I couldn't figure out some of the characters and their motivation for that reason in watching the movie. And I walked away from the movie not knowing like what actually happened. Am I supposed to not know? Was like,
No, I thought it was very clear what happened.
I wasn't sure if the Tinker was lying. Like that's what, cause did he do it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I mean, he did it, right? Martin, you talking about the kid, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
for what?
And
Yeah,
Mother.
Oh, I haven't seen Mother.
Oh, you haven't
Shut the
seen
fuck
Mother?
up.
I haven't seen
Get
Mother.
the fuck out of here, Martin. You've been posing this whole time?
Nah, I like the host and I like Snowpiercer and I like this movie.
So
But
why you didn't
I haven't
watch
seen
Mother?
I just never got around to it. I think.
My
Oh,
nigga,
you know
it's
what?
on
I'm
the
tripping.
flicks. I watched it
yeah.
last week.
I'm tripping. I thought you put me on the Mother. Shout out to
Nah.
Rob Simmons. He's actually Rob. He put me on the Mother. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'm sorry. I take back the posing convo. So anyway, I mean, never mind. It ain't Mother's not important here. But yeah,
Not anymore because Martin hasn't seen it.
Yeah. Well, I thought he had more to add to the conversation.
Yeah, okay, so like to me, even though you guys like Snowpiercer better, I felt like the progression of the film and the tonality of this film of Okja was very similar to Snowpiercer, whereas Mother is like completely a different feeling.
Oh yeah, completely different. Yeah, completely. I mean, but it's not really a social commentary as much as
I think it is though, in a way. I mean, I think it's a mother fighting for her son, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like I think it's supposed to make you think, like, in terms of like, you know, criminal justice systems, even though they're in South Korea, they're not in America, that like a lot of things go that way. And we want to believe people are innocent and we want to fight on their side because we want to believe they're innocent even when they're really not.
Right.
And not knowing what people are capable of and that kind of thing.
I give you that. But yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, I can't really make an argument for it. Outside of like the difference is cause and effect. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like when you talk about Snowpiercer, when you talk about Okja, this is just an overloom. This is something. No matter what class system you live in, you're subjected to this problem. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And Mother's a little bit different because it's centered around a specific incident. So that's I guess that's the way that I separate the different columns. It's like, what can you avoid and what can't you avoid, sort of thing.
I thought it was very interesting too that like, and we'll stop talking about Mother after this, but
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that because he was mentally challenged, right? You're thinking like all these people are not considering that, how they're treating him within the social justice system, which I think like making a murderer is kind of the same, way. It's like, oh,
Right.
this person has some difficulty in terms of comprehension and processing information. And we're immediately like wanting to believe that they are not capable of certain things. But in the end, the person who gets in trouble for it in Mother also has some mental challenges.
Right.
And the person, I believe he has mental illness as opposed to like developmental delays like the son.
Mhm.
And they were so quick to accept that the person who was mentally ill was capable of killing her when in fact it was a person who had some mental deficiencies. So
Right.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. When
We
you put it
tend
that
not to,
way.
when people are mentally ill, we tend not to like be on their side as much. We automatically assume that they did it. Whereas when a person is slow, it's kind of like, well, they can't do that. And I'm like, it's very interesting, the juxtaposition there, as opposed to how we would process it in real life.
Well, yeah. In conclusion for that, y'all should go see Mother, man. It's a very interesting film. So when you talk about when we talk about the realism of this film, I mean, is that even a topic that needs to be covered? Like we're going back to Okja, like is this? Do you guys feel like that this is something that happens, like in theory?
No, well, out, outside of super pigs, I mean, this happens to real animals. Like pigs and chickens are herded into a killing machine. I mean, there's like a chicken holocaust like every single day.
Right.
So it's like every single
the
day.
chickens live in concentration camps.
Like, I mean,
but this is so fucked up. But I just had like a vision of chicken in striped pajamas. I'm going to hell.
Oh,
Anyway.
Wow. But no, I mean, this does happen to animals that we eat. They're not taken care of and caressed and then put out of their misery when they get to an old age. They are bred and killed and all these other things.
Right.
So
for our consumption.
For our consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how okay with that are we if the animal's loved? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So weird.
Did you feel a strong connection to this film, Martin?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel a strong connection to the director in a sense because I really don't see like a lot of American directors like being this like bleak and doing like these kind of like taking genres and subverting them. Like I guess the closest thing I would think of is like Darren Aronofsky. But you know, Requiem for a Dream is like an adaptation, and Black Swan it kind of took from Perfect Blue. So like Bong Joon-ho was doing like original films, and like I just love his style really more so than the actual film.
Speaking of the scene that's playing in the background, the viewers can't see. Why is the television guy even in the laboratory? Like, why? He's a television.
Jake
He's a
Gyllenhaal.
television guy. He's literally he was the face of a thing. He's a television host.
But he was like,
why is he in the laboratory?
Isn't his character like the crocodile hunter, like that kind of guy?
That's how I took him.
But why?
He's like Steve Irwin.
Yeah, but they
let him in there.
He has like security clearance at such a high level of like under the process. And it's like, what is his qualification? I thought he loved animals. I thought that's his whole thing. So wouldn't he be the person that you don't want inside of this thing?
Well, I think that's what you're supposed to be learning too, that he's not really, I mean, I don't know if it's Steve Irwin shade. I hope not. But I think like sometimes we put these expectations on people's beliefs when we don't actually occupy their headspace. At the end of the day, he's a celebrity and that's what he was wanting to protect.
Right. That's true.
Valid point.
But I agree with you though. That still doesn't clarify why he's inside the laboratory. Like it doesn't. It does nothing for that. But yeah, I'm with you on. I didn't even think about that, Kory.
I didn't think about it either.
Because I can see the screen from here, and I just been naming shit that keeps popping up. That made me scratch my head this whole fucking 2 hours of movie.
Yeah.
Like this movie is just wacky to me.
Do you feel like the comedic undertones in this film did they hurt or help the?
I like
the
shit like that.
presentation
I
of it?
like when shit is like campy and. Definitely Jake Gyllenhaal. Tilda Swinton and Jake Gyllenhaal are both very campy in this movie. I'm here for it. But she was campy in Snowpiercer too. So.
I do like Tilda Swinton. She does that thing very well. That thing she does, whatever the hell it is.
That neurotic.
She's like an older Johnny Depp, older female Johnny Depp. And she does it well.
So she's Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. I can see what you're saying.
Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter have the same face.
Yeah. So I mean, I like what she did. She does what she normally does. So she did her job.
Oh, Treezy, do you like her playing sisters better in this movie or Hail Caesar?
Oh, Hail Caesar. Well, yeah, I liked Hail Caesar a little bit better. Like, yeah. Yeah. I feel like that the scenes were a little bit more, and just talking from like a technical aspect, I feel like that they were a lot more challenging to do here. Their interactions with each other and stuff like that. I feel like it was a little bit more challenging here, but the dynamics of the characters, I like them. I liked her in Hail Caesar a lot better, personally. And you're right, Kory. She does do that thing very well, I guess. But, how about the comedy in the film to you, Jesse? Did it?
I feel like it was well done. I feel like you kind of need it in a film like this, or else it'd be like too depressing. But I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal, he just went overboard for me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he could have took it down a notch, and it still would have been good.
Effective.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. All right, so let's get into the characters then. Just kind of gloss over them. So Mija, outside of the fact that she knows parkour and she's extremely
She could run
skilled
faster than a semi.
Yeah, she's like Shinobi in this film.
She got down the mountain very quickly in the beginning.
Right. So, but as a character though, did you guys appreciate her?
I really liked her character, like the determination just to get your friend back. It's simple, but I mean, she didn't break throughout the whole way. I was rooting for her.
I cared about her goal, but I didn't really care about her.
I'm with you.
Explain.
That's where to me it sounds like a Disney film.
The character
Like,
doesn't really have any depth.
No, it's just the mission, which is like this mission that it's spoon fed to you what she wants to do. You know what she wants to do.
Right.
And ultimately you know she's gonna save the animal.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure. I mean, because I know how the story ends in real life. I ate sausage in a beef casing this morning. Like I know how the story ends. So I honestly I didn't go into it knowing that she was going to rescue it. I thought it was all going to be like all this for nothing type shit.
Which is not uncommon now with movie endings just being like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Well, I just felt like that would have been a more realistic ending, and I thought outside of the obvious, I thought this movie was going for realism.
You did.
Outside of the obvious, like,
Well, I think with Tilda Swinton and Jake Gyllenhaal's characters, like, you're really not supposed to take it so seriously.
Yeah, maybe. Even still, it took a couple, it took turns that I didn't think it would take. We talked about how the guy who head up PETA, to protect his 40-year-old credo for PETA, he knocked the guy almost unconscious, fucking Goodfellas style. You know what I'm saying? That was a turn that I didn't expect to happen. So, it's like it had these dark pockets, even within the comedy. The movie had these dark pockets, and it just kind of left you on a rope. You never, when he told her, like, don't look back at the screen, before this whole screen thing happened, I was kind of terrified. Like, yo, what the fuck is going to show up on this screen that she's not supposed to see? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's a couple of pieces, and just the use of Paul Dano. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Dano. When I look at his track record of movies from,
he's always somebody crazy.
He's
always
dark.
creepy or crazy.
And with anger issues, like underlying anger issues. So, I really didn't know at a certain point. I started realizing I didn't know where the fuck this was going, to be honest, in terms of like the ending. How did you like Mija's character, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I'm kind of used to it watching Asian films and stuff, so I'm kind of used to like this trope of this girl like searching, and I guess it is kind of like also a Disney film, but it's subverting a Disney film because it's like a girl and her monster, or a girl and her animal against kind of the world, but it's much darker and it's much more like about the themes of capitalism. But I was cool with Misha. I didn't really have a problem with her performance or anything like that. I think but also Bong Joon-ho has this thing in his movies where it's like he is juxtapositioning,
Juxtaposing.
juxtapositioning,
No,
like
juxtaposing.
juxtaposing Korean culture or Koreans and American influence and the detrimental American influence. So it is kind of like she's this fish out of water in a sense, and she's really doesn't care about like capitalism or American influence or being a star. She just has her goal, and I like that about her. She's not like influenced by everything around her.
Okay.
And I guess that's kind of like also some of his themes in his films is like, well, Korean people, yeah, we're surrounded by this American influence, but we're still trying to like keep our own identity and still trying to do what we need to do.
Interesting. Were you about to say something, Leezy? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess that is a good takeaway. I got the determination aspect that you guys are speaking about. I liked her character personally. I thought it was she wasn't taking no shit, man. I wish I had half the determination that young girl had.
I thought it was interesting too that she was her own person. Her grandfather was telling her how she needed what she should want, and she just was kind of living above that and had her own goals. So, and she was enjoying the happiness that she had. So maybe that was good because she lived on the mountain. She wasn't necessarily influenced in those ways either as a girl, to want to aspire towards like marriage and motherhood so much as she just was living life. So I kind of like that too.
Right. How did she get through customs with that gold pig just in her pouch?
Good point.
She probably took a private plane though.
I think she was on a private
plane. Yeah, they moved her.
They don't have private planes. You can't take private planes from
Seoul? Yeah.
We're friends with South Korea. It's North Korea that we're not doing business with.
I thought you couldn't do private flights like in between continents.
Why can't you?
How do you think celebrities do it?
Celebrities take commercial flights, but they just get like those super expensive whatchamacallits. Like,
don't
when
know
I-
about
when I-
that. I
You
feel
think
like you're
Jay
making
took a
this up.
commercial flight to Cuba?
He was on Delta. He was up front.
Well, I mean, that's something different. We're not
United.
even supposed to be in Cuba at the time that he was in Cuba and stuff like that. But like,
So if
I
Jay
don't
got
think- I
a
don't
show
think
in
he took a plane,
Paris.
period. I think
He's-
he took a boat. But anyway.
yeah, no, but I unless I'm completely wrong, like I don't know if you
It's
I don't,
private jets.
I'm pretty sure that she was on either a cargo plane or a private jet. Like, I
Mm.
think she was fine. I don't think she was on like a regular.
You still kind of got to go
flight.
through customs, though. I'm
Yeah,
with
you
on
still got to
that.
go through customs
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah,
Wow.
she got through customs with this solid gold
I've-
pig.
I've never flown in a private jet to be able to tell you
Yeah.
the customs or not. But it would make sense that you would.
Yeah, nobody questioned her.
I just thought of something inappropriate. Anyway,
Okay, so on to Tilda Swinton. Lucy, she played Lucy and Nancy Mirando, the crazy CEO daughters of the founder of the Mirando Company. And what do we say? She was basically doing her thing.
Yeah,
Tilda
I like
Swinton
her. She
thing.
does that in a lot of movies. She does her character acting, and
she should have been Effie Trinket in the Hunger Games. I don't know why she wasn't, but
That would have been a fitting character for her for
Mhm.
sure.
I like both of her performances, but that scene where she was interacting with herself, I thought that was not well done. It seemed like it was a little off.
And
the
look at-
CGI or
Okay.
the acting.
No, because it seemed like she was trying to act with herself, but it seemed like the timing or something was off.
That's editing.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And look at this ridiculous potato gun that was up. Like that shit is insane. It's off the screen now.
Who was
Like
that?
that
Lily
that was
Cole
one of the
or
things
whatever
I
her name
saw
is?
earlier. I was like, this potato gun
Mhm.
is just absurd.
Mm.
Sorry, guys. All right.
Real quick, just
Corey
to talk
hates
about
the movie in case anyone
Yeah.
didn't
hasn't
notice.
picked up on that, right? If you're talking about two actors interacting with each other, the last season of Fargo, season 3, Ewan McGregor played. He had two characters, and he had a pretty badass scene where he was interacting with himself. It was pretty dope. Why is that becoming like a thing now? Like an actor playing like its twin sibling, and I'm seeing that kind of a lot in the past 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's a
My favorite one is the Devil's Double with who was
Yeah.
I know you're talking about. What's that guy's name?
Dominic Cooper, right?
Yeah, Dominic Cooper.
He's dope.
yeah.
He does
Yeah.
bad movies, but he's dope.
Mm.
Like,
I mean, even though he was playing like an Iraqi dude when he was not, but yeah, that was probably like the best performance I've seen of like somebody acting against themselves.
Yeah, that was good. That was very well done film. I mean, we kind of really covered the characters. Jake Gyllenhaal, what he was over the top.
I appreciate Jake Gyllenhaal doing something different, though. I do appreciate that
Different
aspect.
from what?
Right.
I mean, there's Bubble Boy, but I mean, ever since
And there's
Bubble
Johnny
Boy,
Darko too.
okay, since early Jake Gyllenhaal. I was gonna say
Johnny
Johnny
Jake.
Gyllenhaal.
Johnny J.
I don't know. I just
Gyllenhaal.
haven't seen him do that lately. So I mean, it was nice. but-
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is pretty different. Yeah.
Damn, I guess never mind. I still don't like him in this movie. So no, because he was good in Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
he was
he was
really
great.
good.
But it was
so-
the same kind of campy thing.
But it was good. It wasn't this.
Yeah, you know what's funny, man? And I'll go on record by saying this. I think Jake Gyllenhaal, I think he has like this Rolodex of like 3 different types of people he plays. And like just depending on how the film was written is how he falls into the character. There's always there's one character that blinks a lot or blinks really hard. There's always, there's that, you know what I'm saying? And that's like a tick for that character. Then there's this, sort of like the I can't really get control of my emotions, and there's that, and I feel like this is an extension of what he played in Nightcrawler. To be perfectly honest, this is fucking weird ass guy.
It's over the top, effeminate Nightcrawler guy. I'd say so.
Yeah,
Sociopath. But no, he has emotions. This guy's like just a fallen celebrity.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Jake Gyllenhaal's a bad actor because I don't think that, but I just think that I really do think that his.
You think he doesn't have the range?
I don't think he has as much range as I think he just gets in great films. You know what I'm saying? And he just he performs well enough for us not to question it. But
So
yeah.
you think he's Josh Brolin?
Oh no. I think that's okay. I can framing it that way, I can understand why you make that comparison. So for anybody who doesn't know, Martin he thinks Josh Brolin is overrated. I don't think we ever put that episode out, did we?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So
Listen,
anyway.
Jake Gyllenhaal did Prince of Persia, so that's pretty.
He got a check though,
Yeah,
check.
definitely got
and he's
check.
still working, so it's all good.
Yeah, he bounced back.
Yeah.
He took a L though.
And then the last person that I had marked for us to talk about was Paul Dano. He played Jay, the leader of the
Alf.
pretty much Alf, the PETA organization. And I feel like this is the same character that he plays all the time for the most part. Somebody who's committed to a certain disposition, and he can snap at any moment. He's just always wound really tight.
His face creeps me out. He doesn't have a chin.
Yeah, he doesn't. You're right.
He doesn't. It's like it just kind of.
He's got a lip and a neck.
Yeah.
Which I've heard is characteristic of people being inbred, but let me not do that.
Yeah, please don't do that. That's like a real dark turn, bro.
He has a really weird like Benjamin Button thing. Like he just doesn't get older than 17, and it's like, look at him.
Yeah,
we're looking at the film.
Yeah,
if anyone missed that,
right?
But like he doesn't get any older, and him being like this ominous person beating people up, but he's like physically a wiry teenager is really weird for me. He creeps me out, obviously. I didn't hate this character. I don't know if I like how they framed this animal rights organization as like these people who come in and save the day, but at the same time, like, do it responsibly, because they really didn't give a fuck if the animal died. They were just more concerned about exposing the corporation.
Right.
And they really didn't give a fuck about media. They had their goal, but it was kind of like in the scene where he's like, well, we won't do it without your permission. And I'm thinking, like, do we really believe that? Because everybody around him was like, are we gonna abort?
Right.
If she says no, are we gonna abort? And I'm like, fuck no, they're not.
Yeah.
So but I would have liked to have seen like her say no and them do it anyway.
Well, yeah, she did.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
No, she said yes.
No, she said no. The translator said yes.
He lied. That's why he got slammed into the
that's
table.
why he whipped his ass.
Oh, see, I missed that.
Because he admitted that he lied.
I probably was texting on my phone.
Yep, see? Should have saw it in the theater.
I was reading.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to know who underwrites the whole operation for this whole Alf thing, because those motherfuckers were wearing ski masks and getting big old 18-wheelers and jumping off bridges in the water. Like
traveling to South.
No, it's
like
probably
funding this.
Well, his parents are probably rich, like 12 Monkeys,
Yeah, but I don't like where.
Well, you
how?
think about how people fund PETA.
Yeah, but PETA's not putting on ski masks and jumping off unless I'm totally misled about who PETA is.
They're not like PETA has. Shout out to them not being in one town over, but like PETA. When I watched the documentary about the founder, who lives in Norfolk, weirdly enough, but they went to Jean Paul Gaultier's store like and stripped naked and poured blood all over themselves and stood in the window. Like they do some wild shit.
I believe no.
And they have, the thing is they don't have money for semis, but they can afford them because they have stupid amounts of money for lawyers.
Right.
And they're funded by whoever just believes in their cause and wants to give them money.
Yeah.
Well, they get money from some people who are like me and you, who are regular people, and then they get money from people who have a lot of fucking money.
Right.
So
no, I can believe it, but it's just, pouring pig's blood on yourself as opposed to like, doing a swan dive off of.
She vandalized Jean Paul Gaultier's store and like on a high street in Paris, like, and got away with it. She has fucking money.
Yeah, that is.
They would do it too. They were the ones. You remember seeing people like wearing fur and they'd throw paint on them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was PETA doing that, which I don't agree with either. You're vandalizing someone else's.
Yo, PETA's
You're
hella
assaulting
aggressive.
somebody.
You're assaulting someone who.
I didn't know PETA was that aggressive.
They've had periods of aggressiveness, I believe. I can't speak for it because I don't have their Wikipedia up in front of me. But like they've had moments in history where they get aggressive.
So like if somebody from PETA was sitting here during this conversation, after everything you say that's like aggressive, would they say allegedly? Or are they pretty like out about?
I saw this on camera. I'm not.
And I don't. I also
on
don't
a documentary from them. Like
I don't think it's something they do like every weekend either. It's like they pick and choose when they want to.
They have stealth operations where they like.
Too.
Obviously, they get those videos from people that they pay to like pose
Put
as
their
like
lives in
workers
danger.
and and go in with cameras. Like actually in the documentary I watched, the guy that was going in there, I know him in real life. He went to high school with me. He kept fucking it up. Shout out to you.
He kept fucking what up?
Like the camera wasn't recording, or he was sick and didn't go to work. And,
oh shit!
Apparently, if you work there, you have to you can't eat meat. Like you have to believe in their mantra.
If you work for PETA,
yeah.
I wonder what their break room looks like. Their break room refrigerator, tow food out. Yeah.
So and
Fuck
and
that.
they can get no leather in your car, no leather seats.
Well, I mean, if their salary's high, if they're paying 6 figures, I'd fucking change my diet for their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he had to get the job at the chicken plant, and they were paying him, so it wasn't.
Oh, so he was double dipping.
Oh, you
No,
said he worked at a chicken plant, not
He
PETA?
was undercover.
No, he worked for PETA undercover at a chicken
Oh,
plant.
okay, I see what you mean.
So
So
he
had
was
to-
getting a PETA check and a Tyson check.
Yeah, I think it was Tyson or whatever.
That's
Is
dope.
over
That
there.
motherfucking
Yeah.
That dude is a genius. Shout him out again.
Oh, shout out to you.
Goddamn, I was just joking. I didn't think you really gonna do it.
he went to high school with me. He's in the fucking documentary as Chris, and I was
Oh.
like, oh shit,
That's pretty dope, man. Nah, shout out to you, Chris.
they made him look like an asshole in the documentary, and so fuck PETA for that because I like that guy in real life. But yeah,
But he worked for PETA. So how
yeah,
did
but they
PETA-
made him look like an asshole. You have to watch the documentary. I didn't
Okay.
appreciate it because he's an okay person. Like I like him.
All right. Well, in summation here, man, how do you guys feel like this is like a double fold question? How do you guys feel like this ranks up against Netflix's original content, original movies that we've seen thus far? And how do you think this is going to affect what kind of effect is it going to have on their vetting process for films going forward? I know that's kind of we're not privy to their analytics, so that's kind of this is really us shooting in the dark. But
I bet you Jake Gyllenhaal's ass could get in there and his fucking Steve Irwin get up.
yeah, right.
I think it'll be good for them. Honestly, I think it'll do numbers.
Mhm.
I joke. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It was an okay film. I'll never watch it again. But I get people will watch it.
Mhm.
People will watch it, and people will enjoy it to some degree. So
I think it's good that they're giving a platform for these indie directors or these international directors. I mean, Netflix movies aren't that good, so I guess it's like Beast of No Nation and this, and then it falls all the way down to like I don't know, Ark and what's all those like weird sci-fi movies that
I
are high
actually enjoyed
concept.
Spectre.
Mm.
but-
Oh, Spectre! You really like Spectre?
Spectrum, or what is it called? Spectra.
Spectrum.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
Spectrum was okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to watch.
They got a few more original ones coming out this
Was
year.
War Machine any good? I haven't watched it yet.
It
Halfway
was
through
like,
it was cool.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It
But
was
that
nothing
seems to be
special.
the
It should've
common
been
thread. That
shorter.
seems to be the
Yeah.
common thread about all these movies. They're all right. It's just they're
But
okay.
I'm not mad that I watched it. Like
yeah,
they've I've seen several movies on there that I'm just not mad at. In terms of their original content, I don't love it all, but I think in terms of the quality of what I've seen that they put out, this is on the higher end, like you said, Martin. Like this in Beast of No Nation it's decent. Like I do think, like I said earlier, that this would have bombed in the box office, but for my subscription that I'm already paying for a month, I don't feel like I wasted my life watching this at all.
Right.
And I think this just proves that they can kind of do a Disney-esque film. And if they make more films like that, I think they'll be successful.
I really want to see how Bright's gonna do because that's supposed to be like their blockbuster movie.
Yeah, that's like
That's
their
the Will
benchmark.
Smith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's and Joel Edgerton,
Oh,
I think, is in that one as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think in terms of ranking up with the original films, I think Beast of No Nation is like the pinnacle right now. And then after that, I would say Making a Murderer. Making a Murderer.
Yeah.
Well,
after-
yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
a
thought
TV
we were
series.
talking
I
about-
thought we were talking
No,
about movies.
movies.
Yeah.
good point. All right. Yeah, that's true.
That's a docu series.
Yeah. So I won't count that. But War Machine wasn't bad. I mean, I would probably put this sort of equally with War Machine. I haven't finished War Machine, but what I've seen of it thus far, I'd probably watch War Machine before I watch. I'd probably watch this again if my daughter wanted to watch it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. Like I'm with Kory. I saw it. I get it. It just the experience wasn't. It just didn't. I don't understand. I don't understand the model of how this is supposed to help Netflix's subscriber base because I feel like even down to the thumbnail for the movie was misleading to some degree. I saw
Just a picture of the pig.
Yeah, but I saw the thumbnail for it, and I'm like, oh, this is a documentary about animals. It's
I
not.
knew it was a fantasy movie. I watched the trailer though. To be fair.
Yeah, see, I did not knowing anything about it, just seeing the thumbnail, I was like, oh, this is a documentary about animals. I have, no inclination to watch this. You know what I'm saying? And I only watched it because you made the recommendation, Leezy. So, So that's my thing about that. But
What's weird to me is like I don't understand how, like, cause Netflix it's been out longer than Amazon Prime Video, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Netflix
Like,
been around for a
probably,
and I
while.
feel like Amazon Prime is like lapping them as far as getting like Oscar nominations. Clearly, like Okja is like their bid for like maybe an international Oscar or something like that.
Well, you have to think Amazon has got money being funneled in through other sources
Yeah,
other
that's
than
definitely
just
true.
subscriptions. Like
yeah.
Amazon is probably much more lucrative business as a conglomerate than Netflix is.
Yeah, and they are offering the theatrical portion as well. So that probably is a bigger draw for Hollywood
Yeah.
directors. Woody
Well,
Allen.
I don't. I think it's weird because I think Netflix kind of wants to do theatrical stuff sometimes, but it's like movie theaters won't allow you to like put it out both in like theatrically and on Netflix at the same time.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make sense for them.
Yeah.
The name is
Economically.
Netflix. So if you start putting out movies in the theater, it's like, I mean, you're
I
a
could watch
smooth.
it for free.
Well,
Yeah.
I made this prediction. And if it's not part of their 10-year plan or 5-year plan, but this ends up happening, I want it to be known that I want to fucking check for this. All right. But I feel like that their plan is to start making their own chain of theaters. I really feel like that's where this is sort of going.
I think they're investing in the home theater. They know everyone's screens are getting bigger. Everyone's getting better sound systems and stuff like that. You got screens everywhere now. I feel like they're trying to make it as accessible as possible.
Right.
That's what
I
made
can
it
see that
genius in
too.
the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that too, but that kind of builds on what my theory as well, because I feel like that making the keeping the home experience and the theater experience pretty much adjacent, and like giving you that option, um, but it's still under their own control. You know what I'm saying? Like right now they're not in theaters because theaters are competing with Netflix. But if they have their own theaters, they're competing with themselves.
I
Really,
could see Netflix releases working somewhere like a cinema cafe or places that offer food in a movie because
Yeah.
that would draw people into the theater and it's smaller ticket sales and then they have other revenue streams, so it's not as big of a risk for them.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. I think that they're gonna build their. I feel like that's in 10 years. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna have their own chain of theaters that's going to work with their subscription model somehow, whether it's like free entry or whatever, discounted entry or discounted concessions or whatever the case may be, because of their subscription model. That's where I feel like Netflix is going to end up going to compete with, because I don't think you're going to be able to compete fully. You're never going to put out the theater experience. I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere.
But I think that's why they're doing what they're doing now. Like this is going to continue to grow. Like there's going to be more cinematic theater movie quality films that you can get instantly.
Right, but
So I think that's their niche.
and I agree, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that like I think it's gonna hit a cap where it's like they start realizing that like investing in original content, you drop $100 million on a on a Will Smith movie, how much return did that really yield?
Well, I'm thinking if that film does well, I think you'll see more.
Yeah.
I think a lot hinges on that film. Because if that $100 million film does well, then we'll have a couple years of many $100 film, and then it'll grow more.
Right.
So I think maybe in 10 years you'll see $150-200 million films on Netflix.
Oh, I guess we'll go to see. I saw a stat that said Beast of No Nations, it was viewed 3 million times. So I don't know how that breaks down into their subscriber base. I don't know how that looks. I don't know how much retention came from that. But 3 million times, that just doesn't seem like a lot to me. That's like a Kanye album. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't seem like a lot to me. But
I think for the type of content that it is, though.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone wants to watch like movies about impoverished African children. I think, and then too, I don't know if Idris Elba has as big of a draw as people would, want for it to do more than that. I definitely watched it, and I watched it because other people told me to watch it, not because I saw it on Netflix and I had to go watch this. So
Right.
I would imagine by now it has way more than that, but closer to its release date, it probably did. I'm thinking this Will Smith movie is probably going to eclipse that 10 times, though.
Yeah. I think
so.
we're in the next phase. It's gonna, if some of us remember Netflix getting DVDs in the mail.
Yeah.
Then we remember it being just Netflix content. Now we're in original content with money.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And I remember like the shit you can stream being bullshit and all the
yeah,
good
it
shit you had to order.
sucked. It was trash for like for a while, or it'd be like 4 good films, and then the rest was just Sharknadoes. So
Right.
We've come a long way though.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I remember reading an article where Netflix was saying, they spend so much money trying to acquire content that they only have on their platform for a set amount of time, and that's why they wanted to switch over to original content because when they own it, they can always have it in their platform.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what they're
I
trying
wish
to do now.
more platforms would keep stuff like forever. Like sometimes I'm mad when I think that used to
it's
be on
gone.
Netflix. And it's
Because I
gone.
wanted to watch Snowpiercer again
Yeah,
to see if I
it's-
really hated it.
Can you
But
imagine if there was a platform that nothing ever expired?
Right.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Well, that's a licensing thing. But then also too, because I thought about that before. I also think what happens with that is, you probably don't have as much retention because you have nothing to look forward to, nothing to draw you back in. If there's all the movies that you want to see, you go through them, boom, boom, boom. All right, I'm fucking done. Throw
Well, I
that
mean,
away.
let's say Netflix has been, I'd say, for 5 years having at least decent content,
Right.
and it's like imagine if all that content was still on there. Like, you might start watching stuff twice. You might say to yourself, man, like okay, a good example. I watched Skyfall the other night.
Right.
It used to be on Netflix.
Right.
I can't watch it anymore. I watched it on my source.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like it would have
The
been nice
Matrix.
to watch it in Ultra HD.
Gotcha.
Whenever the hell I wanted to.
I get
So,
what you mean. Yeah. Well, I would like to see them just keep saving TV shows that are going defunct because I really liked The Killing when it was up there. But
Yeah, shout out to the Carmichael show. Hopefully that happens.
yeah, hopefully
I want Carmichael show to get picked up, and I want Underground to get picked
Underground
up.
to get picked up,
From my
yeah.
mouth to God's ears. Make it happen, Netflix.
Make it happen, Netflix. You heard it. Let's get that petition going. So anyway, guys, I guess in summation, go check out Okja. So hopefully this conversation make a little bit more sense to you. It actually was a good, it's a good wholesome film. So
It had a good message, I think, in terms of like unpacking
yeah,
social constructs, in a simple way.
right.
If anyone cares.
Oh yeah, one thing like I know you said it's kind of like a Disney film. I don't know if I would show my kid if I had a kid. I don't know if I would show him Okja. It might like
Well, I didn't mean literally. I meant like in the
I agree.
story style.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
especially
no
that
sex
like
in it, and nobody's head
Alfonso
gets
But
blown
you,
off.
but you have your
Yeah.
eccentric villains. You have your girl and her creature and her very like narrow mission in life for the film. You have your sidekicks, which all were like quirky and and she did impossible feats.
Yeah.
And then
It's a coming of age.
she got into
story.
places like with seemingly little effort, like
Yeah.
So
well, if you do show it to your kid, like as soon as that Alfonso scene starts, like fast forward like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I feel you. Cool, guys. Well, thank you guys for listening and holding on. Make sure you follow us on our social media accounts, Instagram and Facebook at Kinda, KINDA, Movie Critics. And we are also available on Twitter at Kinda Movie Crits, CRITS. Our episodes are available on YouTube, some of them on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, and iTunes. So if you haven't subscribed, you're just kind of listening on standby, man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tell your buddies about it. Hit that little share, send it to them in a text message, and get it popping. And again, thank you guys, especially Now World and Seven Sharks, and the other people that have been commenting and picking up on their responses on our SoundCloud. We really, really do enjoy that, enjoy reading that stuff. And we also want to know what interests you guys and what you guys take away from these episodes. So it helps us, craft better episodes. So anyway, thank you for listening. Again, we call ourselves Kinda Movie Critics because we kind of are and we kind of aren't. We're just a bunch of people who like to watch movies.
This has been an On-Ear Network production.